touched down on Russian soil today, answering a special invitation from President Vladimir Putin to join the historic 80th anniversary celebrations of Russia's victory over Nazism. This visit, laden with symbolic and strategic significance, marks a bold step in the journey of Burkina Faso's young leader, whose unwavering commitment to sovereignty, anti-imperialism and Pan-African ideals has made him a beacon of hope for millions across Africa and beyond. For those who follow Captain Traore's journey, the sight of him smiling or engaging in warm handshakes is a rarity. The 37-year-old leader, known for his stoic demeanor and laser-focused dedication to Burkina Faso's liberation, is not one for public displays of emotion. Yet, today, at the Burkina
Konkonkotv shuni eni ya sanswa landi bia sabri eni ye bo erupre bon frama fande ne edwa kwa kopiemu Russia Victory Day Parade jumedi ye ko so ampanyimfo twetwe urufu amintim ne akunini apabenefo ya Russia mampanyi His Excellency Vladimir Putin ton safre wo mu a eni ebebrem ha yensu ye nikosua ya eni sabri wo bia esombo Emmanuel eye Burkina Faso mampanyi His Excellency Ibrahim Traore ya ene abantuguo na onam soma ne betra banwa no so de nanso de wo ye no ebibrem ha ene obia ni sapapa ise eyi na wedie animdia pefu sei babunu sei na animdia bo wadwunu masa no obia ni kunu ho na bra Vladimir Putin sa Victory Day Parade wantwa na nya otonsa de frɛ no ema ehu sei yes akoda hu ne nsa hohora woni mpanyin ne tonsa didi ampa na dwumadie no se ne esiko so ne duru ba bi na adan awraho enso ne nyina wo mu bia yesi ayi wuti sani esitie bia numa bia sese so bia si wani nko ade a wo besoa enti se awrahu se eye nigio wo ye danya aba dwumadie no so hihye so eduru ba bi na awrahu na aba nanso se de ba ye nso wo mo sere ya ne nyina mu funtum France ye abusua ya kan nyina bomdoboa ene ye sene mu ade ama ewo Konkonkotv so ba modena subscribe share like na comment abusua yenko bu ani akonhome.
Touched down on Russian soil today, answering a special invitation from President Vladimir Putin to join the historic 80th anniversary celebrations of Russia's victory over Nazism. This visit, laden with symbolic and strategic significance, marks a bold step in the journey of Burkina Faso's young leader, whose unwavering commitment to sovereignty, anti-imperialism and Pan-African ideals has made him a beacon of hope for millions across Africa and beyond. For those who follow Captain Traore's journey, the sight of him smiling or engaging in warm handshakes is a rarity. The 37-year-old leader, known for his stoic demeanor and laser-focused dedication to Burkina Faso's liberation, is not one for public displays of emotion. Yet, today, at the Burkina Faso embassy in Moscow, a different side of the revolutionary was glimpsed. In a moment captured by photographers and shared widely across social media, Traore was seen exchanging a heartfelt handshake with none other than Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro, a fellow warrior in the global fight against imperialism. The meeting at the embassy was electric, charged with the energy of two leaders whose nations have become symbols of resistance against Western hegemony. President Maduro, beaming with pride, did not hold back his admiration for Traore. "I am very happy to meet President Traore," Maduro declared, his voice resonating with conviction. "He is Africa's hero, a young leader who has stood up to vicious imperialists with courage and dignity. We admire the struggle that Burkina Faso is leading for freedom, independence, and justice." The Venezuelan leader's words struck a chord, echoing the sentiments of millions across Africa who see in Traore a reincarnation of the continent's revolutionary giants, Thomas Sankara, Patrice Lumumba, and Kwame Nkrumah. Maduro's praise was not mere rhetoric, it was a recognition of Traore's transformative leadership, which has seen Burkina Faso reclaim its sovereignty, nationalize its resources, and forge new alliances with nations that respect its autonomy. The discussions between Traore and Maduro at the Burkina Faso embassy were far-reaching, touching on issues of bilateral cooperation, multilateral governance, and the broader aspirations of the global South. Beyond strengthening ties between Burkina Faso and Venezuela, the two leaders spoke of a grander vision, building bridges between Africa and South America, two continents bound by a shared history of colonial exploitation and a shared destiny of liberation. Beyond strengthening relations between Burkina Faso and Venezuela, it is about building good things between Africa and South America, Maduro emphasized. We are brothers and sisters from the same mother that is Africa, and today we have started a new journey. We walk together. This vision of Afro-South American solidarity is not new, but under Traore and Maduro, it is being reinvigorated with a sense of urgency and purpose. Both leaders share a commitment to multilateral cooperation and a rejection of the unipolar world order imposed by Western powers. Their convergence of views on global governance, rooted in principles of sovereignty, self-determination and mutual respect, offers a blueprint for a new international system where the global South is no longer a bystander but a driver of history. For Burkina Faso, a landlocked nation in the Sahel battling jihadist insurgencies and the lingering effects of French colonialism, this partnership with Venezuela holds immense promise. Venezuela, rich in oil and steeped in the Bolivarian revolutionary tradition, brings to the table expertise in resisting Western sanctions and building resilient economies. In turn, Burkina Faso offers Venezuela a gateway to Africa, a continent whose resources and potential are increasingly central to the global balance of power. Remarkably, Captain Traore's schedule in Moscow is described as the least busy among the heads of state attending the Victory Day celebrations. This is not a reflection of diminished importance, but rather a testament to his no-nonsense approach to leadership. Unlike leaders who revel in the pomp and circumstance of international summits, Traore is a man of action, driven by a singular focus: the liberation and development of his... Granting his first audience to the Venezuelan delegation led by President Maduro. This choice was deliberate, signaling the priority he places on forging alliances with like-minded nations. The discussions, which lasted several hours, covered a wide range of topics, from military cooperation to economic partnerships. Both leaders expressed a desire to deepen collaboration in areas such as agriculture, energy, and technology, with an eye toward achieving food sovereignty and economic independence for their peoples. Maduro's admiration for Traore's leadership was palpable. "We admire the struggle that Burkina Faso is leading for freedom, independence, and justice," he said. "Captain Traore has shown the world that a small nation can stand tall against the might of imperialists. His courage inspires us all." The backdrop of Traore's visit, the 80th anniversary of Russia's victory over Nazism, adds profound historical weight to his presence in Moscow. At the 2023 Russia-Africa Summit, Traore spoke passionately about the shared history of Russia and Africa in the fight against fascism, noting that both peoples have been forgotten by Western narratives that downplay their contributions to the defeat of Nazism. Russia made great sacrifices to liberate Europe and the world from Nazism during World War II, he said at the time. "We have the same history." This shared history is not lost on Traore, whose visit to Moscow is as much a celebration of Russia's victory as it is a recognition of Africa's own struggles against colonialism and imperialism, struggles that continue to this day. By accepting President Putin's invitation, Traore is reaffirming Burkina Faso's commitment to standing with nations that have resisted Western domination, from Russia to Venezuela to China. The Victory Day celebrations, centered around the iconic Red Square military parade, will see Traore join a select group of world leaders, including Chinese President Xi Jinping, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, and Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel. The presence of these leaders underscores Russia's role as a counterweight to Western hegemony and a partner to nations seeking to chart their own paths. For Traore, the parade is not just a commemoration of history, but a reminder of the ongoing battles for sovereignty and dignity that define the Global South's struggle. For Pan-Africanists, Captain Traore's visit to Russia is a moment of pride and possibility. Since taking power in a coup in September 2022, Traore has emerged as a symbol of Africa's resurgence, a leader unafraid to challenge the status quo and demand respect for his nation. His policies, nationalizing gold reserves, ending security cooperation with France, and forging ties with Russia and Iran, have resonated with a generation of Africans tired of neo-colonial exploitation and Western interference. Traore's anti-imperialist stance has made him a hero not only in Burkina Faso but across the continent. From Accra to Addis Ababa, young Africans are sharing videos of his speeches, quoting his calls for self-reliance and rallying behind his vision of a sovereign Africa. His decision to attend Victory Day in Moscow, at the personal invitation of President Putin, is seen as a bold affirmation of this vision, a declaration that Africa will no longer be a pawn in the games of great powers, but a player in its own right. The meeting with President Maduro at the Burkina Faso embassy adds another layer of significance. Venezuela, under the leadership of Hugo Chavez and now Maduro, has long been a champion of South-South cooperation, from the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of Our America, ALBA, to its support for African liberation movements. By aligning with Venezuela, Traore is tapping into this legacy, forging a partnership that could reshape the dynamics of Afro-South American relations. The vision articulated by Maduro, building good things between Africa and South America, is not a pipe dream, but a concrete goal. Burkina Faso and Venezuela, though geographically distant, share common challenges: economic sabotage by Western powers, internal security threats, and the need to diversify their economies. By pooling their resources and expertise, they can address these challenges while amplifying their voices on the global stage. For example, Venezuela's experience in developing its oil industry under sanctions could offer valuable lessons for Burkina Faso as it seeks to process its gold domestically and build a nuclear power plant with Russian support. Similarly, Burkina Faso's success in mobilizing its population through the Volunteers in Defense of the Homeland (VDH) could inspire Venezuela as it confronts its own security challenges. On the multilateral front, both nations are advocating for reforms to global governance, including greater representation for the Global South in institutions like the United Nations and the World Bank. Their convergence of views on these issues positions them as natural allies in the push for a more equitable world order. As Captain Traore walks the streets of Moscow, his red beret and camouflage uniform a striking contrast to the formal attire of other world leaders, he carries with him the hopes of a generation. To the youth of Africa, his presence in Russia is a reminder that the fight for sovereignty is not a distant dream, but a living reality. His meeting with Maduro is a call to action, an invitation to build bridges across continents and to reject the narratives of inferiority imposed by the West. We must ensure that our countries are self-sufficient, including as regards food supplies, and can meet all of the needs of our peoples, Traore declared at the 2023 Russia-Africa Summit, quoting Che Guevara's iconic words, "Glory and respect to our peoples, victory to our peoples, homeland or death." These words, echoed by Maduro's pledge to walk together, resonate with a generation hungry for change. As the sun sets over Moscow, casting a golden glow on the Kremlin spires, Captain Ibrahim Traore stands at the forefront of a new era. His visit to Russia, his meeting with Nicolás Maduro, and his participation in the Victory Day celebrations are not isolated events, but part of a larger tapestry of resistance and renewal. From Ouagadougou to Caracas, from Moscow to Beijing, the global south is rising, and Traore is one of its brightest stars. For Pan-Africanists, this moment is a clarion call to rally behind leaders like Traore, to support their efforts to reclaim Africa's destiny and to build alliances that transcend borders. As Maduro said, "We are brothers and sisters from the same mother that is Africa. In this spirit, let us walk together toward a future where Africa is free, sovereign, and proud."